I will, when we start talking about grid, I will not explain grid in class like this. I'm going to explain grid on a project. So it is not probably going to be as detailed as this. And the reason I can actually explain it like this, but the reason I'm trying not to explain it now is that I need to cultivate that this culture, I'll call it, of researching. You need to know how to research as a developer. It is very important. If you are not researching as a developer, you are not a developer. You are just a, let's say, copy and paste coder. That's it. That's how it is. If you're not researching as a programmer, then you're not a programmer. You should research. Sometimes you'll bring certain projects that you've never worked on as a developer. If you are not researching, you cannot get it. That's how it is. You don't learn. You don't how do I put this? You don't actually write codes. You learn while you write codes. You understand? So if you're not learning, then you cannot actually write codes. So it's best to go ahead and start researching. So again, I'm only going to work with grid on projects with you. I'm not going to explain it from the beginning. It is now your let's say your job. That's your job now to go ahead and research on grid yourself. You understand? So if you don't understand anything and you reach out to me here, I will explain it. But you can ask in class. Is it? You can ask in class, exactly. You can ask in class. You can ask in class. But that does not mean you should be like waiting for somebody to ask before you learn. Okay. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I said you can ask in class. Class. In fact, it's very nice if you ask in class. I'm expecting questions. Only one person has asked me questions since it started. SOS. He's the only one that has actually asked me questions. I'm expecting questions. Questions. In fact, if I'm home, I'm like, this guy should ask me questions. I'm expecting questions because it is as someone that has gone through phases like this, I understand how hard it is to grasp the beginning. So you should have questions. I'm expecting questions. So okay, I think Dean also asked me questions one time. So yeah, please ask me questions. It's important. Okay, now let's move on to the last one for flex properties before we go on to working on more complex examples. Now, align items basically talks about how you align properties, or no, not properties, elements. That's what align items for. Okay, are you aligning them to the beginning, or you are aligning them to the end, or you're aligning them to the center? Now, align items is like the light. Okay, you heard of Facebook and Facebook Live, right? Align items is like the light of justify content. You understand? Justify content talks about positioning, not your normal CSS positioning, but it talks about structuring and positioning. Align items just talk about okay, how the elements will be aligned. Doesn't necessarily talk about the position. Are you trying to align elements on the same line, or you're trying to align elements, flex start, flex end? You want to align them to the beginning or to the end of your project. Now, let me just give an example of what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Looking at this example now, you should note, let me remove the justify content so you see what I'm trying to say. If you remove this justify content, they are not aligned properly, right? They are not aligned together. One is down, one is at the top, right? Now, align items cannot help you align items, accordingly, you understand, or on a straight line. It can also help you align items, bringing it to the middle or to the end. You understand? So that is basically what align items will do for you. Now, justify content can help you separate those elements. Align items just aligns. It does not worry about structuring or positioning or anything. You just probably will align all of these items for you. Now, if I go ahead and give this a particular alignment, an alignment of center, what are we going to have? You notice that what? All these elements will now be aligned to the center. Sorry. So if I give it center, why am I pressing the wrong key? So center. Now, if you check it out now they are now what aligned to the center together. So center meaning that they're centralized. Now let me show you the difference. So if you remove the center and you check this out, what do you have? They are not aligned to the center, right? One is down, one is up. You understand? It does not necessarily talk about aligning items to the middle. No, that's not what it does. Aligning to the center means that what it is well structured. You understand it now? And that is basically what align items is for. Now, if you check it out, we have what align items of center. Is it clear to everybody? Yeah. Yeah. Can you actually use what? Justify content and align items, they do different things. See what just happened. When I aligned it to the end, what happened? One is like at the top, another is down. You understand? It does not necessarily mean that you are taking elements from one position. No. Justify content specifies the position. Align item talks about okay, how you aligning it. Are you aligning it to the beginning, to the end, or you are trying to centralize it to your center? That's what align item does. You understand it now? So it is totally different from justify content. That's why I say it's like the light of it. Yes, they probably sound similar, but it does something different from justify content. You understand? So if I use center now, you notice what center does. Center is now going to help us centralize them. As you can see, they are now both at the center. That's what it does. Now, if you have more elements, maybe you have more elements, you see how all of these things work. Now, let's try something like let's try flex direction of column, and let me show you better. Now, when I said align item to center, what happened? What did you move to the center? But different from justified content. Justified content just helps you align each space in between, set the positioning. You understand? But this one is taking all the elements to the center, all of them to the center. Now that is just what align item do. Now, if I say flex start will bring it to what? To the beginning. Can you see it? If I say flex end, it will take it to the web, to the end. That's to the last part. Do you understand? This is what align item does. Justified content deals with the positioning. Align items just deals with the alignment. Where are you taking them? It's just like text align that we did at the beginning of CSS. Text align, you can align items to the left, to the center, or to the right. It's taking all of them together and not just individual. All of them together, to the left, to the middle, or to the right. But justified content can now help you create the spacing and the positioning. So let's see justified content as a combination of gap and alignment. You understand? Gap is going to give you the spaces. Align items going to put them in separate. Maybe you want to put them at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end. But justified content is much more than just combination of alignment and gap. I'm just giving you an example, like an idea of what it is. Do you understand it now? This is what align items do. Now, let me change it back to. Yeah, you have a question. Of course, go on. I want to ask that question. Go on. You see? The difference between justified content and align items is that I don't need to put it I don't need to set my flex direction to put on. I cannot easily say justified content of center without setting column, and it works. So if you check it out now, it works. So that's what justified content does. But align item, and the reason why I had to first of all set column is because align items is like, I don't want to use block again, but if once you set it something to align, it's already taking up that every space on that line. So you probably will not see the structuring of what align item will do. You understand? It will only move it to the center. I cannot move it to the next end. You understand? It's only structure it on that particular line. But when you now put it in column, it is easier for you to move it about. Do you understand? It's easier for you to move it about. Now that is what align items will do. Now, but justified content, irrespective of the direction, it will move elements anywhere, beginning, middle, and end. What's that? You didn't get what I said? Okay, I'll explain it again.
Like, oh, what if I don't that? Just try for them, right? What if I want to be and the next direction?
Let's try it.
No.
So it's just, again, like I said, don't confuse. Before I answer this question, let me accept this question. Okay. Now, don't confuse the work of align items and justify content. Justify content deals with position, where elements will be fixed. Align items just basically deals with what? Aligning the items. How are you going to align them? Are they going to be on the same line? Are they going to be, is one going to be what? Before the other? That's what align items does. No. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. Now, I just use this as an example. I just use it as an example. When I use center, so let's check it out. When I use center, it is now what? Aligned together at the center. Look at this thing, aligned to the center. If I use flex start, check it out. How is it aligned? Do you understand? Like it is now flex, everything is now smooth. That's if I use flex end, this particular one comes down, which shows that what it is now aligned to the end. You understand? That's what alignment is. How are these properties how are these elements aligned? Do you want to align them to the center so that they are on the same line? Or you want to align them to the beginning, or you want to align them to the You understand it now? That's basically what alignment is. Justify content will now deal with the position. The only reason why align items is working with flex direction of column, why it's moving around, is because why? Because flex direction of column, it does not have spaces at the side. Right here now, it's actually seen this as block, meaning that there is no more space for it to move around this side. You understand? But if it is what? Flex direction of column, it's now on top of each other. That means there is spaces at the sides. You understand? There is no, it's just at the what's the name? This horizontal or vertical? This vertical, this one. Vertical horizontal. Are we sure?
Yes. Yes.
Are you sure? Okay. That's it. That means there is no space, there's no more space vertically. That's how it is. The only thing that focuses on position that you should use in focusing on position is what? Justify content. If you want to align your properties, so your what am I saying properties? If you want to align your elements, use what? Align items. That's how it is. Now, yeah. Yes. Yes. So now that is it. Now, if I say align items or center, we should have this. Now, I cannot easily go and put my justify content in the space between. And then you should have something. Now, if you look at it from afar, they are now aligned together. You understand? They are now aligned together to the center on the same line. That's it. So that it's not going to look disfigured. That's why I use align items. Is it clear to you now? Good. Now, this is basically what align items. Now, moving on. Everything we've learned just now, we're not going to reapply it again. But this time, we're going to reapply it on this element here, on this particular div here. Now, we've been able to work on the parent div, isn't it? That's the overall div. Now, let us now work on individual divs. Now, this is the next one, which is this, isn't it? Now, let us work on this. First of all, we need to make it look like this. Right? Looking at it, the text color is what? White. It does not have an underline, does it? No. And then what? It is a little bit bigger, right? And you now have spaces in between it, right? That's the structure. Now, how are we going to get this for this? Now, the same way you did the home page, you look at where each of this. Now, this is the links, right? That means this is the div for the links, isn't it? which means what are we going to be styling? This div. Now we cannot have what? That div is under which element? This div is under which element? Under nav, exactly. So, and don't forget, I told you that you need to first of all write the parent element, which is nav, and then what's the div. Now, what's the name of the div? What? Links, right? And how do you call the class? Dot links. Thank you. Dot links. Then you can now give it a what? Display of flex, so that you can structure them the way you want, right? You can give it a what? An align items of what? Now, don't let me even give it center. Let me show you what we're going to have now. So, okay, it's not really disfigured. So, some cases you will have above down because it's up. It will be very disfigured. So you can use align items of center to make sure that they are what centralized in the center. That's it. So centralized, not like centralized in the center. So align to the center. So you cannot have what align items of what center, right? So now, if you check it out now, you won't really see much, but they are aligned. So the next thing is to what give it spaces. And how do you give it spaces? Say it now. You're saying something. Why are we using justify content? Don't forget, justify content is for position. Like trying to you're not saying it's just small, that's gap. You're using gap. So we can give it a gap of like gap of theorem. So we can have gap of theorem just to give it spaces. That's can you see it now? That one. Okay. Mm. Mm. We have flex start, center, and flex end. Flex start will align them to the beginning. Flex end will align them, so flex center rather to the middle, then flex end to the exactly. That's it. Now, okay. Yes, you can say dot links. See, again, this works perfectly. But now let us maybe there's another case whereby you don't have your nav now. You're outside of your nav. You're outside of your nav. You now have another section right here, or another div that now has the same dot links. It's going to affect this particular dot links here. You can give now. You might be working on a lot of this thing. You run out of ideas. Sometimes if you give something the same name twice, you understand, you don't know. So you need to be very, very, very just be specific with your CSS. That's all. So you can have nav. This is what we know as what? As child nesting. So from nav to dot links. That means what? This dot links is a direct child of what? Nav. It's just like, for instance, someone else might be very poor, but we have different parents. That's exactly what it is. Mm. Yeah. Just home. Okay.
But the first thing I was trying this, I tried to think, I have another idea. That I tried just that thing. I didn't know how I was going to write.
So you've answered your question halfway. You can have your ID and you can say first. Let's just give you first. So start this home the same way. You start the home. You can have nav dot links hash first. Can you see it now? So it works. Yes, sir. Is it working now? Exactly. This is it. Exactly. Hold on. That's it. Honestly, I can't see it. I'm straining my eyes to see it. But the fact that did you do that yourself? Background of black. Nice. So that's basically what we're talking about. Yeah, you don't need to put the A. The only time you put A is if you want it to affect everything. So I will show you what I'm saying now. Now we've gotten the links, we've gotten the gap. If you check it out now, we have our gap. But now looking at it, we need to change the color to what? What's the color here? The color here is white, right? I'm going to give the body background of black, first of all. And why? Because the color is white. So let's give it the body, just like what you did. Give it the background of black, right? Now, if you check it out now, we have a background of black. Exactly, this is what I want. Now, looking at this, it is what? White, isn't it? And whenever you hover on it, it is now going to turn to red. We'll get to over in our next class. You did it, nice. And just like you've been studying CSS these days, nice one. So we're going to do overing in our next class. If you know that you want to also learn it, I'm giving us a chance to read and study on our own. But I also did it in our next class on Monday. So, but if you want to try it out, you can also go ahead and try it out. That's what makes you a developer. So, looking at this login now, it is now red. But what's the text color? White. Now, which element are we going to give this text color of white? Look at our code. Which element are we to give the text color of white? Again, look at it. Which element has white here? Home, about, causes, contact, right? Now, coming to our own code now, which element is going to have that white color? A, right? Exactly. So you can go ahead and do the same thing. You can have what? Nav, right? Dot links. Because A is under what? Then A. Then you can have your what? Text decoration. Why? Why are we giving a text decoration of none? No? You don't want to have the underline. That's why. I thought those text decoration basically deals with what? These underlines that we have. Underlines, overlines, line through. Right? So we need to remove these underlines. And to remove the underlines, we have to what? Make it text separation of none. Now, if you check it out now, we should have what? No underline. Right? Now, the next thing is to change the color. What color are we going to change it to? White. Now it's white. Then also, it is bigger. And how are we going to increase it? How are we going to make it bigger? Font. Is it just font? Exactly, font size. So we're going to have font size. So we can have font size of 1.2 rem. Thank you. AI. Font size of 1.2 rem. Now, if you check it out, it's bigger. That's it. That's exactly what we want. Okay. But one more thing, which is what I'm going to show us next, is that you have there is this particular font, the way this font is, right? It's different from the way our own font is. Now, I told you about font family, didn't I? When we're talking about fonts, how many font properties do we talk about? Okay, tell me. Okay. Font weight, what's important? Font size, font family, font weight, what's important? Font style. No. No. We talked about four. You have a lot. Yes, you have font. You have a lot of them. But me and you talked about four. The first is what? Font size. Second is font family. Third is font weight. And the last one is font style. And I explained what this thing means. Font size deals with what? The size of the text. Font weight deals with how thick or how thin that text is going to be. Font style deals with the formatting of the text. You want it to be italic. You've seen italic before, right? You've seen bold text before. That's font style. Now, font family talks about how the font is going to look that I made mention of. How many of us have used Microsoft Word? Have you used Microsoft Word before? You've been able to give certain text font different looks. Okay, this particular font is going to be different from this. You understand? Some fonts look like Arabic words, like this. Very fine word. That is what font family is. Now, looking at this now, this is different from this. This particular font here is different from this. I never to look up. It's different from this. Can you see it? They are different. This one is different from what? This. Isn't it? Now, how am I going to change this one to look like this? What type of font are we going to use? Font family, exactly. Font family. Now, but do we know the font family? No. Sometimes all these font families are inbuilt. What do I mean? I can come here and I can say font family. Let's come to our CSS. I can say font family. Font family, I can give it anything, right? Let's say we give it this. Now, if you check it out, yeah, it has changed, isn't it? It has changed, but it still does not look like this, right? Now, in our, I'll just do it in this class so that you can understand it. Now, there are some times that you don't have the font that was used on your Figma design. You don't have it in your CSS. So you have to import it from Google. You understand? Which is going to take me to my next topic. So I'm going to stop recording here. I'm going to give us time to write this code. Or have you done writing? Give us time to write. Now, I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm going to explain it briefly. Then in our next class, we'll talk about all of these things, and then we'll start building our new project. Map our next class.